Primary ignition.
Welcome to Unlimited Power. My name is D-Rod, and here's my pre-release guide for playing Hondo Anaka at your Shadows of the Galaxies pre-release for Star Wars Unlimited's trading card game. Now, if this is one of your first times watching one of my guides, I always want to start off by saying the goal here is to focus on some of the commons and uncommons that really benefit your leader's abilities, and those aspect colors. Yes, there's always going to be some really good cards in the set that really work well with characters like Hondo that are rares and legendaries. But because you're only going to get 6 packs in your pre release kit, the chances of you getting some of the rares and legendaries that work well with your leader are going to be few and far between. So it's better to kind of focus on some of the commons and uncommons that can strengthen your deck and really fill in what you're trying to do with this leader. Now, some leaders as well may not be great in a limited format like this, but we can go ahead and do our best to figure out what cards are going to work well. And if you're a fan of Hondo, then it'll be great. Or maybe you just kind of get stuck with a lot of colors that work with Hondo. You'll at least know what you can build. So let's go ahead and start looking at Hondo as a leader unit and leader card already. As a leader, Hondo says when you play a card using Smuggle, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, give an experience token to a unit. Smuggle is one of the newest abilities in a Star Wars Unlimited, and this ability allows you to put a card into your resource pile and then eventually pay a cost, usually higher than its card cost, and put it into play at a later time. This can really benefit you because you don't have to make as many tough choices of what cards should you resource, because now you know you can bring them back later on. When you do smuggle a card in, though, you will replace that smuggled card in your resource with one from the top of your deck. So Hondo wants you to play smuggled cards in order to strengthen the units that are already in play. Now, when Hondo is a leader unit, you can deploy him into the ground arena when you control 6 or more resources, which essentially means turn 5, and he is a 3/7 unit with Raid 1. Raid 1 means when he attacks a unit or the base, he gets a +1 to his attacking power, so he becomes a 4/7 when he attacks. He still has the same static ability of when you play a card using Smuggle, you may give an experience token to a unit. Does not matter which arena they are in, it can be your opponent's unit, or your leader. So let's take a look at some cards in the leadership aspect that really fits here, the green and black colors. First one I'm going to recommend is the Pirate Battle Tank. Hondo is one of the pirate leaders from the Clone Wars series, and as well as a smuggler in Rebels. And so this card is really fitting and on theme here. It's a smuggle card that costs 6, but if you want to smuggle it, it's going to cost you 7 resources instead. And it is a 4/6 Sentinel unit. The nice part of using the smuggle ability with Hondo is you can immediately make this a 5/7 Sentinel when you really need it. Outside of it taking a while to put into play, I think it's a really strong card. It's a good common that you can really build upon to finish out your game. Next is the Outland TIE Vanguard, a 2-drop unit that says when you play it, you may give an experience token to another unit that costs 3 or less. This is a good one because Hondo's going to have some experience tokens floating around. Outland TIE Vanguard allows you to kind of spread that a little bit rather than putting everything on one unit, really kind of forcing your opponent to deal with the amount of +1/+1 upgrades you're putting on characters. And last is the Warbird Stowaway, probably the better one out of these two, just because of its low cost and easy smuggle mechanic. The Warbird Stowaway costs 3 and is a 2/3 unit. Whenever it attacks with initiative, it is a +2/+0, and its smuggle ability costs 4. So, in other words, you could go ahead and put this in your resources as a resource card, and then you can smuggle it on turn 3. When you smuggle it, your Warbird Stowaway, then you can put a +1/+1 counter on it, making it a 3/4 or a 5/4 when you have the initiative. Can really make this small cost unit really strong, allowing you to take care of anything in your way or immediately put 5 damage on an opponent's base. In the cunning aspect, this is one that's going to be a little bit different. Smuggle isn't very prevalent in this color. Cunning is known for a lot of things, but not so much of this. So there's only a couple cards with Smuggle. Let's take a look at the first one here, and it's going to be Jetpack, a 2-cost upgrade that gives your unit +2/+0, and when you play the card, you can give that unit a shield until the end of the phase. This really encourages you to use that unit immediately to swing into another unit on the other side of the arena. Now you can smuggle this card for 4, which I think is still pretty good. The ability to essentially upgrade one of your units when you need them, maybe like Hondo, making them stronger, giving them a +1/+1 and a shield token all in one turn can be really like putting could be really beneficial to putting your opponent on tilt, right? It just kind of comes out of nowhere, immediately making a unit stronger that your opponent probably had an answer for and may have to rethink some things. The next card is going to be Smuggler Starfighter, a space unit with the smuggle ability. This is another one that's really good because its smuggle cost is only 1 point higher than its original card cost of 3. It's a 2/2 unit that says when you play it, you may give an if you control another underworld unit, give an enemy unit -3, -0 for this phase. You're probably going to be playing a lot of underworld units as that's what you can commonly find with villains in this set. And this set is pretty split between Mandalorians, Underworld, and Bounty Hunters. So you can really take advantage of a card like this and smuggle it in when you actually have those cards in play. The smuggle cost is 4, so I think, again, you can really use this to time your sequencing to your benefit. And last is Ma Klonuki. Probably mispronounced this card. That's okay. But it's a 1-drop event that allows you to return a friendly non-leader underworld unit to its owner's hand, and you can deal 3 damage to a unit. Because you're going to be playing a lot of Underworld, if you end up having to go yellow with Hondo, I think this card makes a lot of sense. Because you'll be able to smuggle a unit in, or, well, really, you should be able to just to play the unit, and then play the Ma Klonuki, bounce the unit back to your hand if it's taken some damage, deal 3 damage to a unit, and then you can put that card that you just bounced into your resource pile if it has a smuggle mechanic. So you can really kind of take advantage of using cards early if you need them, and then bouncing them to your hand and saving them for later, getting bonuses. Or again, you can kind of use this card to just save any damage unit in play that you don't want to die before you deal 3 damage to something else. So great card. Again, Cunning may not be the strongest pairing with Hondo, but here's some ways you can make that work. The aggression aspect has a few more options here. Very similar to Cunning, you're going to be playing a couple of combat tricks that work more in your favor. Disabling Fang Fighter is a reprint from Spark of Rebellion that I think still fits into this set very well, because when you play it, you may defeat an upgrade. Since there's going to be so many upgrades, whether they're bounties played on your units or counters or shields played on your opponent's units, Disabling Fang Fighter is a great one to always add. Next is one of the cards that actually do have smuggle in the aggression aspect, and that's Armed to the Teeth. Here you see Hondo with some of his band of pirates, and it's a 2-cost upgrade that says on attack, give another friendly unit +2/+0 for the phase. I really like cards like this because you can just kind of force your opponent to deal with something that you were making stronger that throws them off their game a little bit, or you can even give the +2 bonus to a card in the space arena or ground arena. So you're really not limited on where you want this bonus damage to go, and I think that's really good. It also has the smuggle ability of for 4 that you can just go ahead and equip this, again really throwing your opponent on tilt when they're not expecting it. Anyone who is equipped with the Arm to Teeth also gets a +2 bonus as well to their attacking power. And last for aggression is the Detention Block Rescue. For 3, you can deal 3 damage to a unit, and if they happen to be guarding a captured unit, it's 6 damage instead. There are not that many cards that deal immediate damage to a unit in play, so Detention Block Rescue is a really good one in limited formats. One of the colors that do pair well is the Vigilance aspect. With a couple of cards to really give you the control you need for something like this, where it's more mid-range to late game with Hondo, the first card we look at is Covert Strength. A 1-cost smuggle event that says when you play it, heal 2 damage from a unit and give an experience token to it. So not only are you healing your unit, you're making them stronger. You can smuggle this card in for 3, and I think that's really good as well, because when you smuggle it, you're going to heal 2 damage and give a unit uh, probably 2 tokens using Hondo's ability. Next is the Vigilant Pursuit Craft, one of the first cards spoiled in this set, actually. It's a 5-cost unit that's a 3/5 with Sentinel. And for a space unit, I'm a big fan of Sentinel units in space, and this has a smuggle mechanic of 7. I think this would be really good to smuggle it in because you can always put a counter on it, making it a 4/6, giving you the Sentinel when you really need it in the space arena. And lastly is just Rivals Fall, one of the best cards in the set so far, and probably the strongest event in the game, especially at the common slot. And it is a 6 cost event that just allows you to defeat any unit in any arena. Does not matter if they are a leader. So this is one of those cards you want to have if you're playing Vigilance. Go ahead and add as many as you can into your deck because you definitely want to have them to deal with your opponent's leader and any other big win conditions they were hoping to hit you with. In the command aspect, again, let's look at Hondo again leading his pirate gang, Weequay Pirate Gang. For 4 resources, you get a 3/3 unit with ambush and smuggle for 5. You can smuggle this unit in, give it the +1/+1, making it a 4/4, and that ambush trigger should be an immediate reward for you. So, big fan of the pirate gang here. Next is Gamorrean Retainer. Kind of a staple when you're running a green leader is to play cards that say when you control a aspect that matches their color, that the unit gains something. So a card like Gamorrean Retainer gives you that easy Sentinel. It's a low cost two drop unit, so you can play it on turn 1, and its stats are a 3/2. And last is Collection Starhopper, one of the lowest cost units that you can put into play that have smuggle. It's a 2/2 unit that you can smuggle in for 3. It's really not that bad to wait one more turn to give yourself a 3/3 unit in space. In the villain aspects, we're going to focus on a couple of cards. Villains are never going to be that strong overall in these limited formats. The cards are just few and far between. They're a little bit niche, but these are some cards I think that can really fill out your deck if you're struggling to get those 30 cards. One would be No Bargain, a 3 cost event that says each opponent discards a card from their hand and you draw a card. So some hand disruption and some hand advantage. You can never go wrong with something like that, and 3 isn't a bad cost for it. Speaking of 3, we look at the Black Sun Starfighter, a great unit that's Sentinel in the space arena at such a low cost. I think this card's going to be really a standout common for a lot of villain decks going forward, and it's not a bad one to put in your pre-release deck as well. And last is Toro Calican. Toro Calican really gives you a couple of options here depending on the colors you go with. If we were to play aggression with Toro Calican, you would be able to smuggle in arm to the teeth, put that on him, give him a +1 bonus, let him attack with somebody, and then you can resolve the rest of his abilities, which state when you play another bounty hunter unit, you may deal 1 damage to it. And if you do, ready Toro Calican. Use this ability once each round. So for a 3 drop unit, you could get a lot of value out of him. Hondo would be able to put that counter on him as long as you smuggle a card. You can make him really strong. You can play underworld bounty hunter units to essentially untap him and swing twice in a turn. A lot of benefits here with Toro Calican and a strong uncommon. And then in the non-aspects, we're going to look at just a few generic cards here that will work for you. Lady Proxima is a 1 cost unit that says whenever you play an underworld card, you may deal 1 damage to a base. She doesn't do any damage outside of that until you put some counters on her or equip her with some upgrades. But she has 4 health, so she can stay in play for a little bit of time. Street Gang Recruiter is great because it's a 5 cost unit that's a 4/4, which is really good on the stats. And when you play it, you may return an underworld card from your discard pile to your hand. So getting that hand recursion, I think, is going to be always beneficial in limited formats because your opponent may have Rivals Falled something that you were really hoping to use, and now you can bring it back to your hand and play it again, where your opponent may not have any more removal like Rivals Fall. And last is the Twin Pod Cloud Car. Pretty much just going to be a staple in everyone's pre-release deck. This 3 drop common is a 2/2 with Restore 2 in the Space Arena. A lot of these units I can see just flooding the Space Arena on pre-release day, so make sure you're adding them to your deck because that Restore 2 will add up and really make it a difference if you're not playing it against your opponents. All right, that is my guide to playing Hondo for pre-release of Shadows of the Galaxy. Let me know how it goes for you at your local pre-release in the comments below. Did you end up getting some awesome rares and legendaries that made you want to play Hondo? What aspects did you play? And yeah, wish you the best of luck, and may the Force be with you.